Good morning, gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you back for my most known and most popular series on the internet, and which is The Reason Why You Suck At. And today we here at Dust 2. Obviously, this is a map that a ton of player plays nowadays, especially the ones who hate Mirage. So I wanted to come clean with some utility, with some actually how to play the map, and give you some tips from beginner till pro player. Alright, I feel like everyone can find themselves a little bit of help when it comes to this too. So let me walk you through how I caught and how did I play this map. I'm gonna talk about both T and CT side obviously because that's how it works. That's how I can give you the most amount of tips, and there is a ton of variation that you have to know about the map. Map control wise, I believe this is again a mid take map, but here it's not that obvious as in Mirage because on Mirage mid is the biggest part of the map. I always like to believe that Dust is some weird variation of Mirage. I always thought that to myself. If you call this connector, you call this under, and then this would be a window, then it's getting really close. I always wanna compare to this map for like every single map that I talk about in a team meeting. I wanna compare it to our main pick. When I was in a pro team, we had Mirage as number one map because if you play with five randoms who wanna become a team with, it's the best way to start this out. So what that means? That means you have to know some fast Xbox smoke. That's a really fast Xbox smoke right there. That's beautiful. I'm gonna tell you that I see this the first time right now. I've been throwing that smoke for like a ton of times already because I wanted to make sure that every smoke that we talk about works perfectly. I believe Xbox smoke is just enough. I don't think you have to learn this. There is a way to smoke doors so that it's stuck up here and then it's a waterfall smoke. If you wanna learn that, do it. I believe Xbox smoke is just enough. And then, we're gonna throw that Xbox smoke, and when it lands and you wanna flash down on mid so he doesn't start to spam, just throw it down. Finally, a map where you don't have to go really crazy with the utility usage. If you wanna flash something, just throw it in the direction or where you wanna flash it, and then you just go here. Good brain moments. If you know util that much, I would like to say that you can throw flashes off there, but you have to aim it really well. So like you can flash off of this window. I like this window and the stuff that it gives. The amount of people I got off guard with this flash, it's unbelievable. Also, if you wanna have a short flash, just pretty much this. As I said, finally a map where we don't have to go crazy when it comes to utility. Now, let's talk about how would I create default round for this map. I would create default round where at the start of the round I'm actually holding mid and then I'm gonna smoke it away. Because let's have the start round figured out. If we talk about the start round, the CT is gonna do a better nade. They're gonna throw a nade that bounces not back but indoor, so like something like this so that they can jump. If we look this as an offer who was made for info and they're gonna throw the nade, I'm gonna throw it from here because I believe I have a better chance. Yes, so like because of the smoke it's way harder to hit it, especially if you know the nade lineup. I have no idea, I'm gonna be honest. Probably this, but a little bit more. Yeah. Yeah. So if you now look at this, it's pretty good. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect, but does just enough. And it's better than wasting a smoke for this, just so you can cross. So like at the start of the round, if I have an upper, I'm really liking to have him here. The only reason I would not wanna have him here is that if we have a peak play towards long end, then I'm setting up to flash. I still believe till this day that this is the best flash towards long. I seen a ton of people do flashes from here, and then those are good, I believe. And I seen people do this double doors flash. Believe it's from here like this. These flashes are genuinely good, but let's talk about them. How we take mid. We're gonna take mid with two players. We're gonna have an Xbox smoke we already talked how to throw. And then we're gonna have a player from under just pretty much moloing short. You know, I'm gonna have myself around here as an IGL and then talk like what is going on. If we don't wanna smoke Xbox, because that could be a thing as well. If you don't wanna smoke Xbox, I recommend take this position extra carefully because they can do a boost up here and it's really hard to kill it, especially if that's an upper doing it. So every time I come to lower and we don't have an Xbox smoke, I'm sure they're swinging, you know? And that's not always giving you the info. You know, a ton of times they not like to shoot at all at you until you doesn't come out. But like it's really hard to figure out something against that boost. I like to just wait until it's inefficient anymore, you know? Because I can do my round in 20 seconds pretty much. What I mean, this map is so fast that you can just pretty much do your rounds in short amount of time. Like you smoke mid to be, and then you just run up. Maybe you molly car, and then it's just you run through, you know? This map doesn't take a ton of skill when it comes to winning it. It just takes just enough so that a casual player cannot play it in the right way. And it takes a ton of coordination. This, in theory, based on what we usually talk about, it's easy to capture mid, it's easy to hold that control, it's easy to gain map control for the T side. So like in theory this is a T-sided map based on what we recognize as a T-sided versus a CT-sided map, and you would be correct. Yes, this is a T-sided map. The ton of times why CTs are winning this because we don't know how to take mid properly. We don't have the crossfires from lower to mid, and we're not hitting our shots when it comes to short pushing out. These are things you have to account for. But let's talk about a little bit more to each side, how we take each side. In matchmaking, you really don't have to throw this smoke, I believe, because not a ton of 5 stacks you're gonna play against. But if you play on a higher tier lobbies, I believe you need to smoke this. This is a corner smoke. The reason we throw this smoke is that you have to actually walk around and figure out what's going on. I'm gonna throw it again. When you throw this smoke, it gives you just enough cover so you can actually walk out here. So like, if I wanna take long now, all I need to worry about is this. Because now I separated from long to pit, and now I only have to fight one angle. As if now, if I would look here, it would be stupid from me, because what if long swings back? But now, as the smoke lands in, I'm no longer a stupid monkey. So like, that's why we're gonna hold this. We separated the two angles, and the flashes keep coming in, you know? If you take long, at least two flash. And as I said before, and I still gonna say it, you know, I said it on stream, so I'm gonna say it here as well. Dust 2 is the perfect map example why you gotta have separated bins for smoke, flash, and nade. And decoys and everything else, you know. This is the perfect map that's gonna teach you that you have to have separated binds for every single util that you can have. Because this map is so situational, it's not really I have a set tactic from start to finish, you know. Let's show you two CT smokes. I'm gonna show you two CT smokes for the reason that you can use both for situations and you can use it both for a different type of side stick. So let's start with deep CT smoke. You come here, you aim above, and then it's a left click throw. It's gonna bounce a ton. So I recommend knowing the timing of this. It's like 8 seconds. So how would I combine this? I would combine this smoke with a short take. I would have my players come off from short and then just get into side, right? That's one good use. The second good use, if I'm just doing a 3-2 split, because I'm gonna have people coming in from short and I'm gonna have long players coming in, then if so many players gonna come in, I'm not really looking for smoking off a ton of positions, because to play side is really hard against the push. So because of that, I rather smoke deep so that every CT have to fight two angles. If I would smoke cross, which is basically smoking like this, you know, if I would smoke cross here and then split from short, these players who are behind the smoke only have to worry about short, only have to fight this, and probably they don't have to fight that at all, because they can just mollo and then jump up here and actually fight a favorable angle. You know, just fight this, right? So that's why I wanna, for example, smoke this. If I don't have short, but I have to take side, you know, the cross smoke gonna come in as a beautiful charm. Basically, it's gonna spread out all the time. What else would I smoke? And on dust too, I would say that's beautiful, like perfect. And then I would just molly side, you know, just for a good measure, so nobody's really staying behind. And then I can actually walk up and then clear this part. I'm pretty sure you can smoke shorts. It's probably a really similar lineup than this deep CT. So if you think about it, that bounce down, what do we think if I throw it like this? Just a little bit more towards, then it gets stuck. So only the deep CT is not getting stuck. This could be a good short smoke, but it's not. I thought maybe from somewhere here you can actually smoke short, because that would be nice to do if you don't have access. Did I just do it? No, maybe from here and then just aim really high up. Yeah, I'd rather not figure out a short smoke right now. But basically what I'm saying is that if you don't have access for short, it's gonna be way harder to actually take A, because now you have to actually play against short. But if you only have short and you actually wanna cross out, we're gonna have this as one smoke, and then we're gonna get stuck into the corner and have this as a second smoke. And what you're gonna see right here, ladies and gentlemen, is that I have two beautiful smokes and I only have the fight side. And I can actually mollo car so that no upper from car actually have an impact on us. Because the big problems with Dust 2 and the way a ton of people play it, can I put it right there? I can't. It's gonna be good for presentations. So with the smoke like this, the problem, the moment you cross here, you became just fresh meat. But you really wanna fight the uppers around this spot, because it's a headshot angle, and now the upper has the disadvantage because I can shoot more than he can. Right, beautiful stuff. Flash wise, how do you wanna flash? Basically any flash works until you call it. With goose, you know, we call this position goose because there is a good ass duck here, a good ass goose there. So like, I'm just gonna mollo it. You know, one good friend of mine said, Cliff Paul, Chris Paul, Logan Paul, and we gonna molly goose, you know, cause that's a must. If the universe is in question and there is one shot left, I wanna take it and Muligos or I don't know, Igudala. I don't know. So basically, these are the smokes for A takes, and I like to split A. It's really hard not to split it. So I recommend getting a really good timing on an A split. Minimap helps a lot. I would love to say that. Minimap helps you a ton. And don't be afraid to molly side. I know you wanna plant there, but don't be afraid to molly it out first, so that the player and the opponent cannot really face it. I believe that's everything about A. Let's do mid to B. I believe that is one of the most Dust 2 like call that you can ever do. It's the mid to B. When it comes to a mid to B, you gotta learn this move. You aim here, you crouch, and then jump throw. Crouch, jump throw. And then it's gonna pop right up there. And then one good flash for measures to CT. so that nobody's gonna decide to run through this. When it comes to a mid to B, you have to fight window and doors. Again, don't be afraid to molly site. It don't have to be perfect. For example, this was the worst mollo icon. With the mid to B, and the things that I'm aiming for is like mulling something, you know. I don't want the CT to have some power spots they can be in. Because for example, if I have a guy here and I'm coming mid to B and I'm not flashing over the wall, which is first of all a griefing report from me every single fucking time I see it, because we take a site. If we take a site, we have to flash. We gotta follow our rules. If we take a site, we gotta flash. There is no if, buts, or maybes. If you don't know the flash, look it up. If a guy is here, gets a kill, and he can smoke himself out, and he's a no-show. I like to call a ton of players no-show. What a no-show means, that's a guy who got a kill, but we cannot find it anymore. They usually do this type of smoke, and then we still have to play the same round the same way. It's just we have to get rid of him to continue our progress. You know, there will be rounds where the opponent just decided to be prime robs and gonna get 4 kills out of this. When it comes down to that one round, I recommend calling a timeout after that. I recommend playing Dust 2 with Dust 2 T-side especially, with a ton of attention towards the teammates, because Dust 2, I like to believe this is the best TDM map. So like it's pretty much that match, left, right, left. And then you can only get this D-side actually better if you make your teammates believe that you trust them. And they have to trust themselves, because when we're gonna get into the CT side, you actually gonna understand how much every little thing matters. And yes, this is more like a matchmaking thing, but here, if your aim is not on point because of you tilted, because if something is not perfect, you're gonna lose the T side. And when you lose the T side, you have to play a CT side on a backbone that you don't want to do, because the T's know they already played the harder side, you know? So I would recommend calling good timeouts for this exact map. Good timeout's gonna save you a ton of rounds, and you won't ever have to worry about losing Dust 2. Let's go over to the basic mid. The basic B tick. You're gonna need 2 smokes from this corner pretty much. You're gonna need it. You're gonna smoke window, and then this gonna smoke doors. That's the 2 smoke you actually pretty much need. And then we flash right there. And then we just flash. If you wanna do some extra shit, molly backside. You know, if you really want to do some extra shit, that's pretty much it. If you really want to have a high utility take, I recommend throwing a smoke like this. I wanted to not hit it in the wall, so like more like this, I guess, because until it hits the wall, it doesn't do the purpose you want to throw this one. So you want your smoke to land somewhere out here. We usually call this smoke a lurk smoke. You know, you can find this on Inferno, we talked about it. You can find this on Mirage, we talked about it. These cross smokes, what they allow you to do most of the time, I might have thrown them better the first time. So this type of cross smoke allows you, if some util failed, or the opponent starts to shoot this because they believe a B take is coming, now you can actually correct your utility and where you wanna throw it. But I might actually like this smoke actually a ton more. You know, the further out usually the better. Again, it's the same purpose as we smoke corner on A. This smoke allows me to get out and actually have me have the search and not waiting for the opponent to kill me from an off angle. When it comes to B takes, I don't believe in slow rounds. I believe in go ball. You know, you can smoke doors from here as well. You know, it's just which one you like more. I kinda fuck with this door smoke more than if it pops on the other side. Both works. I just used to this. You know, I'm just way more used to this. That's really all to it. Maybe if I'm aiming a bit, oh, that's not what I meant to. Bit like this, maybe it's gonna get into door actually. No, because he's a bitch. But I'm actually getting closer. I can put the smoke between the doors, which gonna be lovely if I can do that. Yes, sir, yes. So, I actually managed to put the smoke through the doors, with the beautiful lineup that I had. And the difference it does for me, it's hella big. Because now this smoke is fully covering the doors up and anything that you wanna do indoors. That allows me that because it's gonna make it a smaller smoke. Every time it's through the doors, it's gonna make it a smaller smoke. And that's what we really looking for when it comes to this smoke. I like this smoke a ton more than any of the two I already shown you. All of them works. It's just my favorite. I just wanna have my smoke inside the place. I don't really like when it's like, oh, in functionality it actually works. I don't care. I want to see my smoke perfectly where I've placed it. You can molly stage if you want to. The amount of time there was an actual player there, I don't know. Not that much, not that much. Nowadays, the B defender plays more on this angle because that actually allows you to fall back and maybe even get out of sight if it's a really good scenario for the cities. Playing here, it's a one and done. One and done means that you get maybe a kill with an up and then you pretty much dead. You need a ton of health to get this guy and stay alive here. After plant situations, I believe everyone played Dust already, so like after plant scenarios, I'm not really gonna talk about that because I believe that you watching this video because you play Dust too, but you need that little extra, maybe utility wise, maybe actually timing wise, and you need the help that way. If we go B, I yet to talk about this, but obviously lower. That's a place that you have to take care of. I have this rule, and I always believe that's how the timing works. That the first guy takes this. The first guy makes sure that nobody pushes hard on here, so he takes an aggressive angle here. Not this aggressive, because that's just stupid. Maybe even stage can see my left shoulder at this point. But the second guy cares about lower. The reason why the second guy is caring about lower, so that no chance you taking a push on me. And it always works because I'm somehow matching the guy here. It based on spawns, I believe. So like with the terrible spawn, the first guy should take. So if you don't have a B spawn, B spawns the spawns that are here. Every single spawn that around this area, it's a B spawn. If we don't have more than one B spawn, we just gonna have the first guy hold it. I like to do my rounds a little bit differently than others. I believe that's gonna do a ton of good stuff for you. So like in a B round, I like to smoke corner still, and I still wanna have my upper holding mid. Knowing how many goes to mid and how many goes to B, it's a really good information. And we always gonna leave here the smoke. Usually the Enshi leaves it, before he goes in. I'm not gonna trap it because I have infinite utility and I won't be able to pick back up the smoke, so I'd rather not do it. So we're gonna have that. I like my upper to know those smokes because he has the most impact doing that. Because holding mid for the whole game doesn't make any sense. I know a ton of players still in my elo, which is way lower than last time. It's 13,000. I just realized that I like to play with friends rather than actually playing with randoms, so that obviously did not help me gain some rank, but like, do I really care? I realized that 17,000, that yes, it would be lovely to be at 24, 25, maybe even 30k, but I believe it takes away from the friend aspect that now you don't want to play with your friends. I'd rather play with them, I actually love my friends, so like, and I'm grateful, So here you can do this pretty cool jump spot, and you see how I'm always jumping into this box because now I see more of short. But holding this, as I said, takes the first 20-30 seconds away of the round, and then after that you can just pretty much go where the team is going, and then you don't have to waste your time no more with a full utility on the mid. We talked about B, we talked about mid, we talked about how to take A. Let's talk about the cities. You heard me always say that we play spawns. In a matchmaking, yes. If you wanna do this as a semi-pro team, I recommend not playing spawns. The reason why is that because it's gonna cause confusion, and you pretty much can overhaul the fact that you have the best long spawn or not because of the corner smoke. As I said, in a pro play, we respect each other a ton more. So I'm not gonna just fucking send it on long, because what if they have the best long spawn and he plays car? Or what if he has the best long spawn and they about to just blow up the smoke right there? So because of shit like this, a ton of people have to understand that in a pro play, we're not gonna just send it the same way I'm sending it on a matchmaking. On matchmaking, you see me swing long every single time because I know I have a better aim than you, so it's a 70-30 angle for me, even though you have the up on the angle, or even though you have two guys on the angle. Because I know based on my experience that a guy named Sean cannot kill me on long because I'm just better. So if you wanna play spawns, the first guy takes long. He's gonna be really precise aiming here and then turn and throw the molly. 1 second, I fucked it up. So like just throw the molly in. And then he can fall back, he can do whatever. You know, I like to call the second guy the utility person, just gonna stay here on a flash. I gotta stay here, aren't I? And then just flash somewhere, you know. A ton of people say like, oh, crouch down, aim at this part, and it's such a good flash. You know, if you're really looking to aim a flash for long, your problem is not why you suck at Dust 2, you know. If you really have to find where to flash, anything works, brother. Anything works. You don't have to be like, should I aim here? Should I do? We playing Dust 2, brother. We playing with 4 Turkish person. One of them selling kebab in the corner. One of them is trying to figure out WASD and the movement shit. The third guy is on short, yelling at short when he hears long. So like, why do you care if you have the best flash, right? And I must say it again, I believe a flash timing means way more than the best flash. Like, I could have a pinpoint perfect flash setup to make a play on long, you know, for example, like this, and oh, I'm gonna be so good because I'm swinging, killing 3 person. But if nobody is here, how you gonna kill 3 person? You know what I mean? So like in your next games, when your teammate calls the flash, I would say that aim more towards a good timing flash wise than an actual great lineup. And I don't mean flash like this because you're just gonna hit it in the fucking signs, you know, that's stupid. But like if you know that that's probably a decent flash because it's in the open and then it's probably gonna blind doors. If you know that's gonna happen, then why we care about so much the best lineup, right? In pro play, yes, but in pro play you have to know how to smoke double door, which I have no idea about. I just thrown a random fucking smoke. Thankfully enough, it fucking landed. Was it intentional? Fuck no. That's bad. I wanted to prove a point by fucking up a smoke and I just pinpoint perfectly put the smoke there. So like, my point is, don't fucking worry about being most efficient about shit when you don't have aim, you don't have the mechanics to be point perfect, right? If, for example, Dong trying to go from car enter onto A side, he's gonna hit 4 headshots because he's not a retard like me. I'm gonna miss like 20 bullets not getting a headshot and fucking blame it on the game. Well, I know I fucked it up, but how bad it would look if I'm just calling myself a stupid player, right? So like, understand your own situation, understand who is your teammate, what you're playing with, and how you doing that. The more you're trying to blame the game and more you trying to find other ways to prove yourself right, that's why you are in the right and the teammates are wrong, the more focus goes towards that, the more routes gonna go towards the trash can and actually being lost. Those are being said, I believe in matchmaking we gotta play for spawns. And I believe in matchmaking you don't have to smoke or nade mid. You can just jump this. The amount of times I got tagged is unbelievable. It's like 3 out of 200, you know, so it's like not a big thing. If you play B, we're gonna molly this, and then you either go through a window or you just walk through there. Before the Molotov fades, so I'm just gonna throw it again so I can demonstrate. I like to smoke. The reason I like to smoke while the Molotov is up, so I can actually aim where I want my smoke at, and you can see it's barely coming out. And another thing, if they wanna rush B and they like to be the guys who like, I'm gonna match the Molo timer, so I'm gonna run to take 20 damage. You know, back then, a ton of pro teams did that in the last 2 seconds of the molly, they get to the absolute edge of the Molotov, throw this flash, and run. And then with the timing, the entry might have taken 20 minus damage, but we usually see the B defender like this. And with the biggest open fucking mouth receiving back shots because he's holding a smoke while a 4-person is running out of tunnel. That's why I like to do it. It's just ton more help, gives you way more flexibility. And I like to play around this part of B. I don't like stage at all, you know? Not like the game is giving you any call out for it. I call it stage. I'm either down here, window, or around car, or on a boost. Yes, you can play this position, it might get you kills, but the thing you have to realize, the opponent is not stupid and allowing them to... You play that position, it's a one and done. In my elo especially. And giving a B while having a 4 versus 4 is not the best thing you can do. So I don't recommend this part. I only recommend it if there is a teammate playing a window or doors, so that there is someone pulling for you. If nobody is pulling for you, good luck playing that position. The second guy who spawns towards B, he either takes mid or he plays doors or window, you know. This guy's job is to... Anytime a mid to B happens, you know, anytime a mid to B shows up in the radar, anytime this smoke comes up, he's coming down, he's flashing, and then moloing right after. His job is to let people out here, you know. We don't want nobody to get down here and be free, because that's such a red spot for the T's. If they manage to put a guy, it's like a ladder in Mirage. If you manage to get the guy down here without the CTs having the chance to get him out of there, slows down the rotation, takes away the fastest rotation, and thus so is a really hard rotation map. You cannot really rotate without exposing yourself, so like if somebody is here and you cannot do against him nothing, you just lost the round. Your job also, as a second B spawn, to molly short and nade it. I swear to God, I'm throwing nades that I never throw. So like molly short, nade up. Happens. Nade up there, you know. Just basic brain usage plays, you know. I don't recommend flashing for short. I do not recommend it. There was one time we were preparing for a tournament with the teammates, and when you first start with Dust 2, I always said play the same way as Face It and then move on from there. And I was the second B spawn, and I said I'm gonna flash short. And the guy did not realize I was serious as I threw such a puff flash. Yes, it blinded the T's, but the biggest problem were that it blinded my teammate, who just then started on short running like this, and then he started shooting. Now obviously, now I have infinite bullet. Right there, the guy did not have infinite bullet. So the moment he started reloading, 4 motherfuckers just swung his head at, and he was like, well, that's a really good flash, and that's a flash I wasn't ready for. So like, I don't recommend flashing short. The mid spawn, you either go mid or you either go short. You are the guy who either has a up or not. I don't believe that matters. Same thing. if a mid to B happens, I mean a mid to A happens, we just throwing util, right? And then you make sure nobody comes here. And then with good rotation, you're gonna match the T's timer. I either like you to be at short and have the two guys figure out long, because the next two spawns gonna just pretty much take long and make sure long is untakeable, you know? So they're just gonna make sure that you're not taking long at all. And have the second guy play down here, you know? So if the first guy getting a run down, you can just swing and help him. And if not, you can play towards short after you smoked doors, so that our long player still have his own smoke. And now you can be here and actually mollow down lower. If you play short, you get a mollow down lower if you wanna make plays on short. And that's pretty much it. I believe this is like 40 minutes of talking about dust. If you believe that the stuff that I talked about is useful and you wanna see another video like this, please subscribe. I believe it takes up none of your time, but still would help me out a ton. Comment down below what do you believe I missed out on and wanna know more about, and actually tell me what map do you wanna see next. But that's gonna be me. That's gonna be pretty much Dust 2 in a good 40 minutes. I don't actually know how long it's gonna take up. With all this being said, I appreciate you watching this video. Send it to your worst Dust 2 players. They gotta know they suck at Dust 2, brother. Like, I'm telling you, they won't change if you're not telling them they suck at Dust 2. So, that being said, see you guys in the next one. Peace out.